Let's talk about Tidewater. What is it and why is it important? First things you've got to remember, Tidewater is only associated with VA loans. It will never be tied to any other type of financing. FHA, conventional, will never have a Tidewater issue. Remember that. If you hear the term Tidewater, you're going to immediately think VA loans. So what does it mean? Tidewater is simply a process. And it basically allows the appraiser to throw up their hands and call a timeout. We have a problem. We're not going to be able to come in at value. In other words, the value we're going to turn in on this appraisal is going to be less than your current contract price. That's not good. So VA has this initiative process for appraisers to go through called Tidewater. It gives interested parties the opportunity to provide additional sales data that might support the sales price. In other words, it's just a chance for the real estate agents to provide additional comps. That's really all Tidewater is in a nutshell. So who are the interested parties involved? Well, that could be the real estate agent, the seller, the buyer, or even the lender. So let's talk about the process. So the buyer using a VA loan and the seller come to terms and execute a purchase contract. The lender then receives a sales contract and orders an appraisal, which is from a VA approved appraiser only. Not all appraisers are VA approved. That's something to remember. If the appraiser feels like the value will come in lower than the purchase price, then Tidewater can be invoked. The appraiser notifies their POC, their point of contact, which is the lender, and the lender notifies the other interested parties. Typically, the lender's going to have to break the news to the real estate agent. Those two are going to have to decide who's going to break the news to the buyer. Generally, the selling agent's going to contact the listing agent, break the news to the listing agent. The poor listing agent then has to turn around and contact their sellers and notify them, hey, unfortunately, we didn't appraise. The appraisal's not coming in at our current contract price. The interested parties, which is generally the agents, have 2 days to return more supporting data for the appraiser. Generally, that's going to be, well, if you have a good buyer's agent, the buyer's agent is going to be on top of it. But really, it boils down to, in my opinion, it's really the listing agent's responsibility. They're the ones that priced it. Now, I understand most listing agents have a ton of pressure from their sellers, especially in our market right now, the way properties are selling like hotcakes. But generally, it's going to be the agents that've got to figure out and come up with more data, which is comps, and get them back to the appraiser within 2 days. The appraiser then revisits the appraisal with the new data and then submits it back to the lender. There's no guarantee, of course, if they're going to come up in their value, but once they submit it back to the lender, then Tidewater is over. Like I said, there's no guarantee the new comps will work and the value will be changed. Many times it won't be. All right, so what happens if the value still doesn't come up to meet the contract price? First, generally the first thing that's going to happen, the lender can initiate a ROV, which is a reconsideration of value. This is where the lender and the VA SAR, the staff appraisal reviewer, will collaborate to establish a value. They have the power to increase it up to 15%. Now, if that's not doable or that doesn't work, really the only option is for the buyer and seller to renegotiate the deal. And there's several different ways it could be renegotiated. From my experience over the years, it really depends on how far we're off from the actual contract price to the appraisal. If it's at $20,000, $30,000, which I've seen them lately, a lot of times the seller would rather put it back on the market than they would come off their price that much. But one of the options is, of course, for the seller to lower the price to meet the actual appraised value. If it's a couple thousand, that's one thing. But a lot of these right now are coming in majorly different. So that's really it in a nutshell with Tidewater. Unfortunately, it's a huge negative. If you hear the term Tidewater, most of us, including the agents that are experienced and dealt with this, get this real sickening feeling in their stomach, because at that point right there, there's a major problem and the whole deal is on standstill until this is resolved and figured out. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please, if you did, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. If you're into real estate, investing, buying, selling, if you're even an agent, this channel's for you. I'm going to be giving a lot of information and a lot of stuff you're never going to hear from anyone else. You got to remember, I've got over 18 years, thousands of transactions closed, and tens of thousands of contracts reviewed being a foreclosure broker over the last 18 plus years. Experience matters, folks. Appreciate it. Have a great day.